So good evening, everybody. What I wanted to talk to you about tonight is just to give you a little bit of a preview of the diocese brand new website, which is launching in less than a week. And if you've ever dealt with our old website, you should be very happy about this. I just have first a couple of slides to go through to kind of talk about some things, and then we're going to look at the website itself. And I'm happy to take questions as we go along. So the goals on our new website that we were really trying to accomplish. First and foremost, we wanted a more pastoral focus for our website. That is to not look like any other business's website, but to be really focused on the mission of serving Jesus and his church. And I think you're going to find that our new website does this. In the nuts and bolts kind of areas, we needed and wanted a site that was going to be faster and more accessible, more stable, more secure. Our current website is woefully out of date, so much so that there are security and vulnerabilities and problems running stuff. We needed a new site, but we also needed a site that is going to be better organized, much easier to find the things you're looking for. Much easier to actually use the find. If you've ever tried to do a find on our current site, it's not very easy to drill down to actually the areas you're looking for. And you can see we're vastly improving that. Just making the site easier to update on and keeping it fresh and current all the time. Spanish translation of every single page, which I think is extremely important and very easy to access that. And then really to focus on your stories, the stories of transformation of Jesus Christ in our diocese. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that because we really do need your help along those lines. But I wanted to hit a couple of places in which the new site is really going to rely on your active participation as lay leaders. And there are three key areas for that. One is a new section we're calling Share Your Story. And it's part of our Know Your Story section, where we're trying to gather together those stories from every churchgoer of how the mission and ministry of our church is moving in your life. And so you'll be able to come to our site to read these kinds of stories and submit your own. And we really want those stories. We really want, and that includes whether it's your own personal witness of how you felt Christ move in your life, how you felt the ministry of the church move in your life, or stories of the ministries at your church or at the diocese level, the ways that your ministries are touching the lives of others. We really want to hear those stories. We want to share those throughout the diocese to really show what we're doing, why we're doing it. A little bit more prosaic, but our Find a Church function on the site, where if people are looking for an Episcopal church and they come to the diocese website, they'll be able to see every church and every ministry, for that matter, in the diocese, using the Episcopal church's functionality of their Episcopal asset map. The brilliant thing about this is the Episcopal asset map is controlled by you. When you have a change that you need to make to your church listing, whether it's a new service you're adding, a service time you're changing, food pantry that you've opened up, whatever you have to add about it, you can access Episcopal asset map, update your information, and when you do that, it comes to me or it comes to our other administrators for approval, so that we know people can't just come in and change that information. But as soon as you make those changes, it's available on the Episcopal Church website, and it's available on our website as well. So people looking for different ministries can find them directly on our site and on the Episcopal Church website. So I really ask you to go to the Episcopal asset map on the Find a Church page, both on our current site and on the new site, are instructions for how to do that if you haven't done it before. But I'd ask every church in the congregation, in the diocese, please, to go to Episcopal asset map, make sure that you're up to date, and then do that on a regular basis. When you make a change in your ministry, change it there. We're also making it a lot easier for you to be able to add an event to the diocesan calendar. And we really want you to do that whenever you're having an event in your congregation that is of interest beyond your own walls, whether it's interest to other area churches maybe, or the broader community. Come to our site, follow the really easy instructions for how to add your event to our website, and then it's on our calendar and we can feature it. It also puts it on my radar, so that if there are things that we want to put in Good News in the Garden State or in Know Your Story, I know about it because you've added it to the calendar. Again, it's not something that happens, like when you add it to the calendar, it doesn't publish automatically. We have to put some controls on that. So it comes to me and it comes to Mary Ann Clisham to approve before it goes live. But we usually do that same day. So I do ask you to come and take a look at that. And with that, I'm going to give you a preview of the site itself. So let's do that. As I say, this is the site that's going to be launching next Tuesday night. We don't anticipate any downtime for the website. We think what'll happen for a lot of people, you'll open it up Wednesday morning and you'll see the new site. For some people, depending on your internet service provider, it may take a little bit longer for that to filter out, that change to filter out. But expect Wednesday morning, you're going to see this site. And I hope you can see it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot brighter, more accessible. So I don't forget, let's show you the Spanish translation. If you're a Spanish speaker and you come to the site, first thing you do is just come up here and click and choose Espanol. And now every menu on the site, every story on the site, every other than downloadable documents that we don't have control over, is now in Spanish throughout the site. It uses an auto translate through Google, but we also have the ability to customize the translation where warranted. So in those places where either Spanish is to be the first language, or it's, the translations are usually pretty decent, but where we see a problem in the translation, we can fix it and make sure that it works well. I'm going to go back to English just for me, and let's scan through the page real quick. We'll talk about the navigation in just a second. I just want to look at the home page here. As on the old site, there's a slider at the top where we feature kind of things that we really want to push out right away. This is still under construction right now, so there's just kind of a one slide here. We're pulling over the new slides in the next few days. So down on the rest of this homepage, we start with the bishop's weekly message that you're seeing in Good News in the Garden State right now. It's going to be on our website, as well as the bishop's weekly sermon that usually publishes in video format on Saturday nights. You'll be able to get these from here. You'll be able to share them to your social media networks, and just enjoy them that way. Scrolling down, a lot of focus on the site is on beliefs and practices and developing your faith practices in the Episcopal Church. So this first one, Who We Are, Beliefs and Practices, this is really focused on newcomers coming, seeking the Episcopal Church. This video comes from the Episcopal Church, and kind of an overview of the faith. Scrolling down a little bit more, as I say, we're really focused on helping people find the resources for lifelong faith formation at whatever stage you are, from, if you're a child, if you're seeking ordination, if you're just wondering about ordination, if you want to develop as a lay leader, if you want to develop just as a person in the pew who wants to learn, everything's going to be here, so that you have access to those resources. An event section on the front page, and this is just the most immediate upcoming events for the day and the week. And you see how nicely formatted it is with a nice image attached to everything. And when you add your events to the calendar, they'll show up here as well. We talked about the Know Your Story section. This is accessible directly from our front page here as well. This is just a set of kind of featured ministries of the diocese right now, which you can flip through, and these will be changeable over time. When we want to feature certain things, we'll swap them out. Down here, an easy way to contact us, as well as our statement of purpose, the ability to sign up for Good News in the Garden State, to follow us on social media, and to go to the Episcopal Church. So let's briefly take a look at the navigation. As I say, we have attempted to make the entire site a little bit more accessible and pastoral. So that's and easy to find things. So actually, let's start, before we get into the menus, let's look at the find functionality, which is right here at the top of this page, the little magnifying glass. When you click on that, it lets you search for any term you want. And if the default is to search everything on the site, but you can boil it down and say, I only want to search in the Bishop's Weekly Message, or I only want to search on the events page, the calendar. Oops. And that opens up. Actually, when you click events, it does open up a separate search. I forgot about that. I'm still learning the site too. But the idea is, unlike the old site where when you searched, everything got searched at the same time, and that included calendar items that had been gone years ago, that sort of thing. This really lets you focus things and be able to find exactly what you're looking for. For our menus, we're trying to both use language that's more accessible and more pastoral, but also makes a little bit of sense. So if you see here, we've divided it down. We use who we are, and so that's information about the Episcopal Church. It's information about ministries and commissions, to be able to find a church, about Bishop Stokes. If you're looking for a staff member, and the new staff page actually also has a section for, contact Steve for. So you don't have to guess, what you're contacting somebody, or who you should contact for what. Under what we believe, this is really some of those faith formation things that we talked about. So dividing it up into newcomer resources, growing in faith, which is kind of faith formation for everybody, and then discernment. If you're thinking about a call to ordained ministry, you'd go there. What we say, this is the place where we're telling those stories, right? So we feature in here Bishop's Corner, where we have both the bishop's regular weekly message and his weekly sermon, a link for Good News in the Garden State, and a link for Know Your Story, which is kind of the online magazine that we're developing. And we'll take a look at some of these in a minute. What we do is more focused on events, both the calendar. You can see here there's a link to submit an event to the calendar, whatever the upcoming events are, but also the big events of the diocese will have their own menu item on here. Right now, what we have on is diocesan convention, but as other things are coming up, we'll have other menu items for actual big events of the diocese. And then what you need, this is kind of the nuts and bolts, the resources stuff. Particularly pleased by the addition of a human resources page for the diocese. On the old site, you kind of had to look sometimes under resources for clergy, sometimes under resources for churches. This puts all that material in one place. Compensation guidelines, employment policies, all that stuff in one spot with downloadable resources. Also in here is financial resources. It's a little bit different than the HR stuff. So it's your parochial reports. It's resources to help you figure out how to do your finances. All the sort of PPP stuff, the online stuff. There's it's going to be a wealth of resources on there that's well organized and easy to find. And then just our contact form, which will take you to a general contact information form, and also the ability, if you wanted to donate to the diocese or to the Bishop's General Fund or to ECS, you could do that directly here. All right. So I wanted to look at a couple of different tabs here. The reason I'm not accessing them directly through the menus is because this is still on our development server, so it's a little bit slower than it will be in real life. So I cheated and opened tabs. I promise it's going to be fast when we actually launch. So let's look first at Bishop's Corner. And this is the place, as I said, we have both the Bishop's Weekly Message, as well as, and all of them archived going back in the time. So other messages that have been in Good News over the past last couple of months are here. And we'll be putting them all up here over time. So eventually you'll be able to, look back for forever. And then coming down, and then the sermons as well. Bishop's Weekly Sermons, which are video based, and we will also add the actual text for the sermons here as well, which we were not doing on YouTube, but we can do here because we have that flexibility. And all of these as well, when you open them up to read more, and I told you it's a little bit slow here on the development server, but let it open. But I wanted to show you what it looks like. So a title, an image, but also the ability to share this to Facebook, to Twitter, or to email it to a friend, which I think is a nice feature because I know I want to share everything the bishop says, right? All right, so that's Bishop's Corner. Let's look at upcoming events. So when we click the events link, this is similar to what we saw on the front page, but there's a little bit more of it. If you remember on the old website, all you really got was a calendar view with all the different lists on there, and you could get a list as well. So this is much more attractive. This is showing the most immediate things coming up, and laughing at the bishop there. And each one is clickable, so you go in and get all the details about it. When you have an event, well, before I get that, you can get just a straight list, which just fills up the page with that. And then the month view, the way we've always had it, each piece clickable, and you see those images pop up for it. But when you want to submit an event, let's take a quick look at that. You hit submit an event. You get a chance to give it a title. You get to write whatever you want about it. And this is full formatting, so you can add links. You can do images if you like. You can schedule it as a repeating event or an all-day event. You can add images here, and then we do ask you to add a category for it. For most of what you put up in here, the category will be a congregational event. And if you don't have an image for your event, there's a standard image that loads for a congregational event. And then you can add other tags as well. And we have some that are predefined, but you can also add your own. Whenever possible, if what you're doing fits in one of these tags, use one of these tags because it makes it easier for people to find things when they're looking for them. Add your website. If there's a cost, you can put that here as well. Leave it blank, and it's free. When you submit that event, it comes into a queue for me or Marianne Plisham to review and then to post it. And I see Henry asks, if 20 congregations submit 20 separate events for December 2nd, will all of them be on the diocesan calendar? That is a problem I would love to have, Henry. But the answer is yes. It's equal access for all. Now that might mean if we need to be able to focus on diocesan events, for instance, you can filter it to show just diocesan events or just congregational events or just kind of training events.
If you didn't have Compline, I'd hang up by now.
Oh no, I'm boring people. Sorry. Okay, and then let's look at Know Your Story, which I think is kind of really the heart of this new website, a place for us to share those stories of discipleship. And you see how they display here. Each one has kind of keywords so that people can find stories by, like, if they're interested in campus ministries, they can click on the campus ministries link and see all the stories that have been posted for that. Also, if you have a website for your ministry on the on our site, it'll automatically feed over there. So you'll see the latest from Campus Ministries on the Campus Ministry page. To submit your story, again, just like submitting an event, you click the link, and it gives you a chance to, so you type it in here, or you can paste it in if you write it offline. A headline, what the story is, your name, and then your name as you'd like it displayed, which is not necessarily the same. You might want to just post it as your church or something like that, but we need a contact person, an email address. You can upload up to 3 images to it. And when you submit it, again, that comes to me. I will proofread it. I will edit it. I will add the images in a way that to make it pleasing. I'll add some keywords and some tags, and then it's on the site immediately. And I think that's a cool thing. Those stories are like the bishop's message, are also shareable on social media. So if you see something you want to share with your network, you just click the share link, and it does that. I did want to look briefly at that human resources page that we talked about, and maybe we'll look at the finance page quickly too, just to show you how it's set up. A lot of resources on the right hand column. These are, for the most part, just downloadable documents and things, but they're related to what's going on inside. So, like, everything you need for human resources, whether lay or clergy in the diocese, is right here. We'll look briefly at the menu page for financial resources, and then I'll let you out of here. So you see how this is organized. And we'll be adding some images and the like to these, but find everything that you need here related to the finances of the diocese and your individual congregations, and it's really well organized. And I think you're going to find it way easier to use and to find than our old site. Okay. Any questions before? James Beard asked, I'm not getting the widgets at the top of the screen for the address or language bar. Well, you should be getting the language bar. You're not going to get this because that's me logged into WordPress. I should have logged out before I demonstrate it. But Henry also asked if you have some of these addresses are going to change, although dioceseofnj.org/calendar will not. So your old bookmark to that page will not change. Some of the other ones will, and you'll have to update them. Other questions on this before I just have one little other slide that I want to go over. Henry, the COVID-19 and RR page will be under what you need under COVID-19 resources, and you'll also be able to search easily for it. Yes.
I also saw a question in the chat from Barbie Bach. How can a commission committee task force add and update descriptive content to tabs?
To the tabs for your individual ministry page? I'm not.
Yeah, Barbie, why don't you unmute?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to update, and if there's more description that needs to change, just to make changes.
Yeah, ideally, and when we as we've been putting pages up, we've shared with content owners a link for submitting changes. If you don't have that, I can send that to you. And actually, we'll probably post that on this website as well. It's a place where you can put what the address of the page is that you want to change, who you are, and what that change should be. And that'll go in a queue for us to update and change. It's easier than, particularly, I expect there to be a lot of things that'll have to change early on after we, because once we go live, we're going to discover a lot of things that we thought worked and maybe don't work as well as we thought, or other problems and stuff. So rather than just send me an email because it may get lost in the shuffle, we have an actual form that can be filled out for submitting changes, and that puts it in a spreadsheet and helps us keep it organized. Okay, so then let's go. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some some next steps, and then I'll let you go. So go back to my slides here for a second. So what's going on right now? Next week is launch time. And we're currently doing final Q&A testing and proofreading. We will have our final pre-launch development meeting on Monday, and we will go live on the evening of August 10th. We will then promote the new site and talk about it in Good News in the Garden State on Friday. Give us a chance for a couple of days to see what breaks and what's not working before we actually tell the wide world about it. After launch, beginning the week after, we'll continue, updating and changing content. We're getting a lot of kind of last minute content changes that are a little bit late to do right now as we're getting ready to launch. So there's kind of a second wave of content change that'll go on there. As we figure out what's working and what doesn't work, we'll be doing a little more functionality tweaks and changes. We'll create a how-to manual so that more people will be able to update content, particularly on staff, but some key ministries who want to be able to update their own content will have that ability. And then an exciting thing that we're going to be doing is, particularly for those smaller churches that have struggled to maintain a current web presence, we will be creating kind of a template for them to use on our site, on the diocesan site, where you would be able to have your own unique URL, whether it's a domain name that you purchase or a subdomain. Say you're at St. Swithin's, you can have stSwithin's.dioceseofnj.org. And we'll build out a template for you for a small site. And you can use our developer. It'll be hosted on our server, and we'll absorb most of the costs for that, unless you need a whole lot of customization. And then we'll talk about how to pass some cost on one. I see this mostly for those churches that have struggled to maintain a strong web presence, that we'll be able to take care of that for them. James, let's talk. Yes, we can. I mean, if you have a domain, we can route it to our site. We'll need to work with you on that. But that's next stage. Look for that probably in a month or so, but because we're not quite ready as we work through the main site. But I think it's going to be an exciting change for those congregations that have struggled to keep a web presence current. And let's take a look. I don't know if Phyllis, are there questions that I have missed?
Nope, I don't think so.
Anything else before I let you go? So pray for me, because I have a busy few days coming up. But really, really, really excited about this change, and I hope you are too. And I want to encourage you again to come and share your stories, because that area lives and dies by your participation, and we want your stories. So I'm pleased.
We're getting some encouragement popping up there in the chat too, and we're
Thank you, Steve. It's wonderful.
yeah, yep, we can do that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, everyone do that. This is a ton. I mean, I don't know if everyone knows the huge amount of work this takes. And we want to thank Steve and Teresa Dunn, who helped us with this in significant ways, and also Never Ray Fox have been the principals in all of this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a huge amount of work, and it looks great to me. I think it's going to bring some really wonderful dimensions to our ability to tell the story and communicate.
Thank you.
God's goodness. Thank you.